Hey there guys, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to kill Giorgione on either turn 1 or turn 2 for farming crystals, banner tickets, etc. from the Fortuna rewards. Now if your units are really powerful, this will be a turn 1 OTK. But because I don't have EX3 Tsukiko and I did not crown my Yuna, it's going to mostly be a turn 2 OTK. Sometimes we'll kill it on turn 1 with really good variance. Most of the time, this team will be a turn 2 clear. But again, if your Tsukiko is EX3, that's an easy turn 1 OTK. And if your Yuna is crowned, it'll usually be a turn 1 OTK as well. My Yuna is not crowned, my Tsukiko is not EX3. So let's get in here and do a clear or two, and then I will show you the gear and all that. So the boss has preemptive defense and spirit buffs that are undispellable, but Kaito can duration down them to get rid of them. And then the ambush mitigation, also undispellable, but that can be ignored by evokers. So Kaito is going to start off with just crashing waves for an 88 break, unpredictable tide to get rid of the boss's defense and spirit buff, and then kind of whatever. Kryla is here to power up our Yuna. She needs to be EX3 for this strategy, which is, I know, a little bit specific, but you can probably replace her with like another support unit. Anyway, we're going to Twilight Pact on Yuna for a 45% light amplify, Elemental Wrath to do a 130 Imperil on the boss, and then defense boost on Yuna for a big spirit buff. Sylvie is going to offense to do an LB damage buff for Yuna, Gravel Egg for a 45% Earth Amplify, and then I've got your back on Tsukiko for a bigger LB damage buff. Now both Yuna and Tsukiko are using rods, which allows Aerith to do her Rod and Peril as the first action, and then triple Flame Fang for tag chaining. Then we're going to LB Tsukiko and Yuna and their shift forms. Now we're going to click Aerith first, which is going to apply that Rod and Peril, and then we're going to click the other people right afterwards, which will cap that tag chain. So go ahead and do this. And now this will usually be a turn 2 clear. Sometimes, depending on variance, it can be a turn 1 OTK. But like I said, if your Tsukiko is only EX2 and your Yuna is uncrowned, it'll usually not be a turn 1 clear. So to finish it off on turn 2, we're going to use Sylvie to triple, not that one. We're going to use Sylvie to triple cast Clever Paladin Strike. That'll refill 30 LB gauge for both the DPS. Then Kryla can do Twilight Pact on both Yuna and Tsukiko. And then literally it doesn't really matter what else we do. And that'll fill the rest of the LB gauge on those guys. And then you can just quad Flame Fang with Aerith, and then send Aerith in both your DPS, and then cap a second time. So there you go. So that'll always kill the boss on turn 2. So we got, a double cap. And like I said, sometimes it'll be a turn 1 OTK. Now notice my Aerith is almost out of mana. She's completely naked. If you're having mana problems, just put some mana gear on her, or mana reduction, whatever, it doesn't matter. But anyway, there's the turn 2 clear. Here's the breakdown. Obviously Tsukiko does the majority, but not quite enough at EX2. And you can use this to farm your Fortuna rewards. So we're going to do 1 or 2 more clears. I'd like to get a turn 1 OTK on video. It can be done. I've done it in testing. But again, because my Tsukiko is only EX2 and my Yuna is uncrowned, usually it's not a turn 1 OTK. But let's do 2 more before I show you the gear. So, a lot of auto casting as well, stupid Clash of Wills gear and all that. So Sylvie will once again offense, gravel, and then I've got your back on Tsukiko. Kryla will Twilight Yuna. We will Elemental Wrath, and then defense Yuna. Kaito can just reload. We didn't change his actions. And then Aerith has to do Rod and Peril and this. Okay. Send these, and, maybe we turn 1 OTK. If so, great. Oh, 5%. Nope, we didn't. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and let's go ahead and do 1 more clear. I'm not going to finish out the boss. Obviously, finishing out the boss is super easy. I'm already done farming him, so I don't care about the Fortuna rewards. But we're going to go on 1 more time and try to OTK. But again, if we don't OTK, I already showed you how to very easily clean up the turn 2 clear. There's just no reason for me to keep showing the turn 2 clear. It's a lot of clicking and reselecting skills. But let's do 1 more attempt at OTKing it on turn 1. And if not, you know, the turn 2 clear is very fine. Okay, so just reload all this. Give it just a moment. Okay, and let's see if we get that turn 1 OTK in. There it is. Okay, so as you can see, you know, even at EX2 Tsukiko and an uncrowned Yuna, we can still get the turn 1 OTK, but it is pretty hard to do. It needs a good variance. My variance with this calculated team is between 1.1 billion to 1.6 billion. You need 1.5 to turn 1 OTK, which requires really high variance with this party. But again, if Tsukiko is EX3, that'll always be a turn 1 OTK, or if Yuna is crowned, it'll usually be a turn 1 OTK. Not always, though, because Yuna is definitely the lower damage of this party. Anyway, so here's the party that we used. Completely naked Kaito. He's kind of required for turn 1 OTKs because the boss has a turn 1 200% defense and spirit buff. Obviously, evokers don't ignore that. So, and the only way to remove it is Kaito. So if you're not using Kaito, I think a turn 1 OTK is probably impossible. Sylvie is not technically required, but she is really good because she does the Earth Amplify, the Earth Imperil, the big stat buff, the big LB buff, and the LB damage buff for Yuna. So all of that is really important there. We are using rods, and we need a tag chainer, and Aerith is perfect here because we can use Aerith with Quadcast to rod Imperil and then tag chain. It's really slot efficient for this turn 1 OTK. And then Kryla is basically here just to power up Yuna. Because Yuna needs a light Imperil, Yuna needs a light Amplify, and Kryla handles all of that at EX3. Also, Kryla is good for refilling the LB gauge from the turn 2 burst. So, naked Kaito, naked Kryla, naked Sylvie, naked Aerith, but they are important for what they do. Now, Yuna, as far as Yuna goes, we are using a Rod build because we're doing Rod Imperil. We don't have time for Staff Imperil. So here's the setup. Completely uncrowned. If she's crowned, she's way stronger, obviously. Here's the gear we are using. There it is. Honorable Rod Arts to equip the Rod, and then her own card. And her stats are maxed LB, 235 Evo, and 245 Esper damage. If she's crowned, she would be at 300 Esper damage, and she would be at 2,000 higher Spirit. And then Tsukiko, in the Shift form, is using her own STMR Rod, and then just an LB damage build versus Evocation. So here's the setup. There it is, EX2. She is maxed LB, maxed Evo, and then 280 Esper damage. I can cap all her stats, but based on calculations, it's more damage to use the Clash of Wills gear instead of the Evocation gear. But anyway, yeah, at EX3, she'd have like 10,900 magic, and she'd be capped and everything, and she would very easily carry the turn 1 OTK. Okay, there's how to farm, either turn 1 or turn 2, depending. Either one will work. There's the setup. Next job is to try to figure out a cheaper clear without using things like Sylvie. I've gotten a lot of requests. Please do a no Sylvie rank 1. I'm gonna try it, but spoiler, it's gonna have Tsukiko on the party if I rank 1 without Sylvie there. Anyway, see you in a bit.